Hello everyone, this will be an update to my Succession Corsair PvE guide. This is not a standalone video. If you haven't watched the first guide, I recommend that you still go and watch it. On this new guide, I will go over the new add-ons, the new combos, I'm gonna rectify some skills that you shouldn't have locked anymore, and I'm going a bit more in depth on the cancels of the class and how you should reposition while grinding. For add-ons, you're mostly taking the same skills. However, add-ons have been very much simplified in the past year and a half, so these are the ones I'm running right now. Unlike on the first guide, you now only want to have Evasion Roll and After the Storm locked. Squall and Crashing Waves are now part of our combos because they got their damage buffed. Now let's go over some new cancels. Now that we unlocked Crashing Waves, we need to start using it on combos. This skill can be cast with Shift F, but it's quite shit. You need to cast it after Storming Gale by holding F, or then after Wave Lash by holding LMB. As for Squall, this skill can only be cast by holding F after certain skills. The useful ones are Whirling Slash, Crashing Waves, Wipeout, and I found some funny tech where you can spam it by using Mareka Swing, but because it does less damage on cooldown, it's still not relevant, but maybe in the future. To try this for yourself, you just hold E and then you press F whenever Mareka Swing is cast forward. The next few cancels are related to repositioning while grinding. I didn't really go over this in the last guide. So, the skills you're mostly gonna use to reposition are Riding Waves, our dash that has no collision. Sometimes Wave Blast can get you behind the mobs, but it's a bit hard to control. Wipeout is not amazing damage, but can get you behind the mobs and is already included in the Infinite Combo. Simulankly is one of our best repositioning skills, as it does decent damage. I didn't really go over this last guide. You can cancel Simulankly with Whirlpool or with Ocean's Allure. Both are about the same speed, but the first one will give you single target damage, while the second one will give you a bit more AoE. You can also use Whirling Slash into Squall to reposition behind the mobs. This is quite slow, and I would avoid it unless the mobs are not grouped well, as it actually gives time for them to bunch jump better. Now, onto the next section, we're gonna talk about the PvE combos. Ideally, you want to play Corsair as a priority list class. For those who don't understand this term, it means you cast the highest DPS skill as soon as it comes off cooldown. This requires you to be very comfortable on the class and know exactly what skill does the most damage. I'll leave in the description a link to the Suck Corsair DPS shit made by Tidera. So if you want to play it like that, you can go ahead and take a look at the shit. To play it like this, all you need to know is that you still need to cast Overflow despite its low DPS, because it's your minus DP debuff skill. Now, moving on to the actual combos. First, we're gonna revisit the combo strings that were on the last video. On combo 1, you'll still want a debuff and pre-buff. However, after Storming Gale, you now keep holding F, which will cast Crashing Waves and then Squall. On combo 3, you can now press F after Wipeout to also cast Squall. And finally, on combo 4, believe it or not, Whale Song, even when fast cast after other whale skills, is actually a pretty shitty skill. So I would just not cast it entirely unless you have Z buff up. Combo 1 starts with Overflow, Q, into 2 bits of Storming Gale, F. You then hold F to cast Crashing Waves and keep holding it to cast Squall. After that, Wavepout, SRMB, and you hold SRMB to cast Tight Kiss. Combo 3 is the same as before. You cast Wave Blast, Shift Z, into 2 bits of Wave Flash, Shift LMB. Then you cast Wipeout, Shift Q, into Squall, F. For the burst combo, things are a bit different now. You're not gonna fully use the combo strings used before. This would only be useful on certain spots, like Gyfin, Darkseekers, and other spots where you want the biggest burst for one specific mob to die fast. The combo will start by casting the first combo string exactly the same as you learned. But then, on the second combo string, we're gonna skip Ocean's Pearl into Captain Orders directly. Finally, on the third combo string, we are not casting Wipeout or Squall. Notice that if you need to use this combo more than once in 20 seconds, it won't work because that's the cooldown of Shift C, Jetstream. If you need to juice out that extra bit of damage, just go back to combo 1 at the end of this first combo. This is the combo. We start by casting the combo string 1 that we showed before. After Tight Kiss, you hold SC to cast Captain Orders. It's then followed by Vigor Rush, RMB, into Wave Blast, Shift Z, into 2 hits of Wave Lash, Shift LMB. Finally, you go into Jetstream, Shift C, and cancel it with Spiral Soak, SE, and then cast Spiral of Dreams with RMB. Finally, for the infinite PvE combo, if you have Z-Buff, you're gonna rotate all 4 combos, skipping Jetstream, just like we used to, every second iteration of the combo. When you don't have Z-Buff, what you want to do is to cast the combo up to Wave Lash, and on the first iteration, you cast the 4th combo string, which will have Jetstream into Spiral Soak, into Spiral of Dreams, and on the second iteration, you would instead cast the complete combo tree instead of only up to Wave Lash. This is how it looks without Z-Buff. And this is how it looks with Z-Buff.